P collab, man. Oakland Vallejo, the Bay Area, stand up. I'm from that town. She from Vallejo. Said let's collab. She said, okay, we all should play. Hot potato, whoever got the hottest vibe, challenges with it. It's me, I'm the best. Like creative players on hunters, no less. The lines in your forehead just told me you stressing. Got G-O-D on me side, ooh, he blessed me. All these lies they tell it's a vaccine. They're acting it's so bad like it's wrestling. Keep my circle so small it's insane. If you made the cut then you're part of my team. Just like bowling at pint, golf strikes don't gutter. Attracted to the mind but I like my hooder. She gotta have a pretty face too.
Good evening. I am Mrs. Best. We are here for a little bit of a late night recap of 90 Day The Single Life. We recap this show weekly. It is a TLC show for those who are unsure or anything like that. It's one of the spinoffs for the 90 Day Fiancé series. So we're here to go over season 4, episode 5, which was appropriately titled Natalie's Big Break. We are going to jump into it. To everybody who's watching now, thank you. Hello. I welcome thee. Welcome. And to those who are watching the live replay, hi. You could be watching this live replay at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, why is this bitch in a row? In the time that I am recording this, it is 11:30 at night. So I was in the bed and I was like, I haven't really had time to get to it because of my job and some other stuff. But now I am here and we're going to go over this shit. Anywho, what we are going to do in the way that we do things when we go over 90 Day The Single Life is I will discuss each person and what happened with them for the entirety of the episode so that we're not ping-ponging back and forth and all of that confusing stuff. So we are going to start with Chantel this week. Chantel was part of the reason I started recapping this because I did recap the final season of The Family Chantel, which you can find in the TLC recap playlist on the channel. Chantel's been boring me a little bit on this show. She's not that interesting, in my opinion. Just most of what she's doing seems disingenuous. She's also freshly divorced, so I don't expect her to like jump into another relationship. I know she wants to rush into it because she wants kids and stuff, but realistically, I think they should have waited before casting her on this show. But, you know, that's just my opinion. So she, when we last saw her, was going to the other side of the island because she is in Greece trying to find a man. And she goes and has been entertaining this man named Giannis, who is a football player, meaning soccer, not American football. So she's been talking to him. He's on the other side of the island, wanted her to see his town and all of these things. Took 4 hours to get there. She comes back from the date and she's struggling with how to move. She says she's scared to tell her friends that she's not ready for a one-night stand. I think that's kind of classless and tacky. Like, not one-night stands, but like as a friend, I don't think we should push our friends to like sleep with people, even if it's like, come on, it's going to help you get over it. Like, people get attached or it makes them feel away or it can make them miss something, even if they're not attached to the person. So I'm just like, let people's sex life be their business. But it is what it is. I'm tired of her little posse too. But they go to the beach to meet with Giannis again because he wants them to meet his friends, and which is a good sign. And when they get there, they talk, and he says that it's important to him to have a woman who has family values, which Chantel does have family values. Her family's very close. So I don't see why that would be an issue, but she understandably has some like past trauma from Pedro's family because they just did not like her. He says that Chantel has the qualities of a woman that he would like to have children with, which makes her feel a little better. And then he asks the question that he should have asked. Why did you get divorced? I think that's an important question to ask, especially if it's like you're calm, you're nice. Why are you divorced? It doesn't make sense. He wants to know. So she explains how she felt Pedro's family was using her for citizenship, which I think was true, especially with how things ended. And he says his family's close, but unlike Pedro, he has boundaries. To those who are wondering if you see a little creature running around in the background, I do have a pet cat. His name is Oso, just like my husband's rap name. Don't ask. But I don't want anybody to think there's like some type of crazy creature about to come after me. It is my cat walking around. Because I looked in the camera and I said, oh shit, he kind of freaked me out in the camera. What the hell? You can't just be walking around me like that. Anyhow, they discussed the family and all of those things. He doesn't seem off put like they tried to edit it to look by her explaining what his family did. He actually seemed like, whoa, like that's crazy. I was watching something on people who, choose to come specifically to America. I guess there's a homeless crisis happening in New York City. I am not from there or nothing like that. So I don't really know anything of New York on a deep level. But I was watching something and they made a good point. A man who was not American, who immigrated here, he said it took 16 years going through the proper channels. I said, oh, Lord. And there was a documentary on like people who choose to come over here, not like, the people running from Venezuela or places where it's not safe, but like people choosing to get into the country from whatever culture or walk of life by scamming, which is kind of what Pedro's family was trying to do. Yeah, people don't like that. So I can understand why Chantel would feel away. I think Giannis understood why she feels away. They do finally kiss, and then once they start kissing, it just seems like they did not stop. But Chantel does seem to be somewhat realistic about the dating situation. So we'll see. I'm just a little bored watching her, but she's never been interesting. Chantel has never been interesting in terms of reality TV. Beautiful girl, very intelligent. In my opinion, she has a lot to offer. She's a nurse. She seems to be nice. She has friends. I think that's very telling of a person's character or what they have to offer, but she's just not too interesting. Like, I'm not too interesting. I wouldn't do reality TV because in real life, like normal people don't really want drama or have drama to the extent that we see it on these shows, if y'all get what I'm trying to say. Anywho, go ahead and like the video. If you could, it's an easy and free way to support me and the channel. Please excuse the robe. It is late night and it's cold. We're getting, what did they say, hurricane force winds in California, up in the Bay Area. It's been raining. It hasn't stopped. The wind is blowing like crazy. A sign fell at my job. I seen it on the internet. My cat's howling. Doesn't make any sense. Mr. Oso Tender said in the robe. It's cold, babe. It's so cold in this house with the heater on. Y'all, my heater is on and it is still freaking cold. Pray for me. Anywho, that's all we got for Chantel in this episode. The next person or persons that we're going to move on to is Veronica and Tim. So Veronica and Tim from 90 Day Fiancé, for those who did not watch the series, or didn't watch every season, they were in a relationship for a very long time. He basically raised her daughter and is the father figure in her daughter Chloe's life. Then they broke up. Veronica got with this guy, Jamal, who gives me like metrosexual fuckboy vibes, if that makes sense. He just seems very childish and bitch-like. I'm sorry, I'm saying it. He just seems very childish and bitch-like. That's bad to say, but I don't think I could be with a man who's like more emotional than me, especially about little shit. And Jamal is pretty fucking emotional. So the last thing we see is Jamal and Tim getting into it because they finally meet up. And Jamal, in my opinion, is the person who was wrong. And someone commented on the video last week, and I appreciate you for doing that because they commented a very good point. I did pin the comment if you want to go look at the previous video. They made the very good point of it being childish for Jamal to be upset or to bring up the daughter. When you date anybody with a kid, you have to accept who's in the kid's life, which is usually family, a father figure, the mom, hopefully, like things of that nature. So even though Tim is not Chloe's biological father, he has stepped up, he has raised her, and they are publicly announcing him as that. And therefore, he should be respected as that. Jamal calls Tim a bitch, questioned his role as Chloe's dad, and then he got up to walk away as if he needed calming. And I didn't like how everyone was kind of trying to calm down Tim like Tim was the problem. Tim's a condescending asshole. He is. I'm not going to deny that. He's obviously has some strong opinions and feelings on Veronica's new relationship with Jamal. But most of the stuff he has concerns and feelings about that he's vocalizing, that shit is accurate. He's not bullshitting her. They are best friends. I don't know. I've had one good male best friend, and the motherfucker fell in love. So I don't know. I haven't had the best luck with it, but I know some females who do have male best friends, and it has been without issue. Now, best friends who you've dated, I think that's even more problematic when it comes to friends of the opposite sex. And I think that's really what's bothering Jamal, but he's too much of a little bitch boy to say that. I would respect him more if he was like, this is weird. This is awkward. This is uncomfortable for me that you're friends with your ex. Just say that. Don't make it about his parenting and all of that. So Veronica tries to check Tim, but Jamal was wrong. He was wrong. He's so busy throwing a fit and crying and trying to fight this little white guy that like people are looking past the fact that Jamal was wrong. He just was. So I just didn't understand how you gonna call somebody a bitch while going off on them and then tell the person when they respond to you, don't raise your voice at me. Jamal, I didn't trust that. I did not trust that worth the damn. So now I'm looking at Jamal with the side eye. I've already kind of been looking at him with the side eye though. I just don't trust him. Anywho, Jamal's friends after the whole situation, they say that between Tim, her daughter, and other issues they have, such as communication, the long distance has been a thing. She feels like he doesn't check in on her as much. They feel like the relationship and Veronica comes with too much baggage, which she does. She just does. And though she's not done anything wrong and it's not wrong of her to have a kid, when you are coming into a relationship with a child, you have baggage. Whether you like it or not, that child is baggage. They may not be that to you, but they are to the person who chose not to have them. So it doesn't mean your kid is bad. It doesn't mean that they're good. It doesn't really mean anything about the child, but that is baggage. And then you bring in your ex, baggage. Then you want to be friends with your ex, baggage. Then you're allowing your ex to actively have a beef with your current dude, baggage. So Jamal's friends were right. The relationship is filled with baggage on both sides because he has the shit too. So we find out that the biggest reason Jamal doesn't want to move to Charlotte, because he lives in California and San Diego, he says that it's because of Tim. He says that's the biggest reason he doesn't want to move. That was the most childish, bitch-like, irrelevant thing that he could have said. Tim to Chloe is a father figure. So if you're going to be with Veronica, who is Chloe's mom, you're going to have to interact with Chloe. And to interact with Chloe is to interact with Tim. If you're going to be with Veronica, Jamal, get over the fact that Tim's going to be around. You have to prove stuff to people when you started off as somebody that was just like a one-night stand that turned into, sleeping together, that turned into some sort of a relationship, if you can call it that, because apparently he don't be calling Veronica back when he's not in her face. So it's very strange that he's getting so passionately upset. I think it's more so an ego thing. So I'm gonna just leave it at Jamal is childish as fuck. So we'll see what happens with them next week. Should be interesting. So the next person we see who the episode is titled after is Natalie. Y'all know I don't like Natalie. Something about her feels wrong. I think she's a beautiful woman. I don't respect her, though, as an adult. It seems like she just hops from dude to dude and expects them to not just take care of her, but like go above and beyond, like to do everything. She act like she can't wipe her own ass, and that worries me. So Natalie, in this episode, we see that Josh bought her a car, a little Fiat. I love Fiats. They're cute. Never drive one, but I love them. He says he bought her the car because he feels like she is trying. We find out that I don't understand why Natalie is 38 years old, 2 years away from 40, trying to be an actress. But then again, the grandmother in Black Panther, that was her first gig ever. And she had been trying to act for many years. I read an article about that in some magazine or something. However, that lady worked also. They say when you're trying to chase dreams, like acting or like what I'm doing here, just recapping, giving reviews, it's not really a dream, it's just fun. But when you're trying to do stuff like that, what they say, keep your day job. I got a day job. That's why I'm here at 11:49 p.m. at night, California time, giving y'all a recap of this episode. But better late than never, right? So we find out that Josh got her a position at the Joint Chiropractic, which is a chiropractic. It's like a chain of chiropractors, kind of like the McDonald's of chiropractic, I guess we could say. And she says that she does not trust chiropractors, but she wants to work with one. I was like, what the why don't you trust chiropractors? Though there's actually, if you guys look it up, it's not exactly the most sound and stable like study of medicine. That's all I'll say. Anyhow, Josh's cousin is the person who's interviewing her, and he says this is her first. He says that he has met Natalie before and that the first time meeting her was awkward and that he is surprised that she and Josh are still together. And honestly, I don't blame him. I genuinely do not blame him. Basically, they start the interview because he still interviews her. I think she thought like, oh, I'm just going to get the job. No, bitch, they want you to interview. You better answer these questions. So they get to they get to the interview, and she's not prepared at all. This was one of the worst interviews I've watched. And I've interviewed like hundreds of people just throughout the years working as a little manager. I've interviewed people. I've never had an interview that bad. And I've interviewed people for jobs that, don't require any form of intelligence, like, cashiering, janitorial work, like jobs that, any of us could do. And Natalie being a receptionist is something most people would be able to grasp, especially through a chain, because they're going to have their little systems that, do a lot of it for you. So I'm looking at her like, why are you so bad at this interview, sis? Like, what is the problem? So he asked Natalie about her customer service experience. She could not answer that question at all. She's like, oh, I worked in a library. I do this. Then he's like, okay, well, do you have a resume so I can see your work experience? I have a resume, but it's in Ukrainian language. Then why didn't you bring that one? I've actually had a guy I interviewed. Shout out to you, Christian, because I think he subscribes to my channel. But he was from Chile, the country, and his resume was in Spanish. Mind you, we're in America, so your resume should be in English. But I still hired him because it was like he was able to answer my questions, and he apologized and explained every bit of it to me. Like, your resume should be in English if you're in an English-speaking country. If you're in a Spanish-speaking country, your resume should be in Spanish. But if you are struggling to learn the language, or if you just have not, some people will learn the language but not understand how to write our alphabet or things like that, that's understandable. Just be honest and explain that. But to come like just empty-handed expecting to just get the job is just whack. And I didn't like that she did that. And even his cousin said, this is the first person I've ever interviewed who like could not produce a resume. She says, oh, I could mail it to you. Why would we wait 1 to 2 weeks for you to mail a resume that he needs now? Something like, maybe she's just not smart, Natalie. Like, something's very wrong with her, because I didn't understand any of it. He then asked Natalie if he were to talk to people that she knows, what they would say about her, which is a common and pretty standard interview question. She answers, Josh would say that she is needy. Why would you tell a job that you're needy? They don't want to hold your hand and help you to wipe your ass. They want you to help them get work done. They pay you, and so on and so forth. That's what they want. I'm just like, this is just really, it wasn't cute for TV. It was just stupid. It was just fucking stupid. I didn't understand why she was so goddamn stupid. I just could not. So, she's trying to blame the fact that she's interviewing bad and struggling on the fact that she's from a foreign country. I live in California, in a pretty diverse part of California, not the little redneck areas. And what I will say is there are people from all cultures and all over the world who are here. Being from a foreign country is not going to stop you from interviewing well. Like, you may struggle to answer the questions in the native language if it's different from yours, but your answers to the question to tell people like if you'll be able to do it or not. And she also speaks English. So I just didn't understand why she was so shitty. Mr. Osotenda said mail a resume. What the fuck? Who does that? Like what you're gonna tell him at the interview. It take 2 days for him to tell you if he's gonna hire you or not. So you mailing a resume is gonna become irrelevant. She just really, I was watching this like, wow, this is really happening. Like this is what she's doing. I don't understand what's wrong with people. I really don't. I just don't. So she suddenly says in the middle of the interview, instead of, continuing to answer his question, she says, I'm sorry, I feel awkward because you're Josh's relative. And, I can understand that. It's like, that's his cousin. And then she asked him if he has met the mother of Josh's second child. I was like, oh, she's a fucking idiot. It's official. Because why are you asking his cousin personal questions about the baby mama? Why do you need to know? That's what I didn't understand. Like, are you that insecure? Are you that worried about his income and stuff? And then you have this man paying for you to do all this shit that you could really do on your own. And he has a child. Wouldn't you want your man's money to go towards his child and you be less of a burden, Natalie? I just, something's wrong with her. And I think he just wants a pretty, like, little blonde thing. I really think that's all he wants. Because there's no substance to her. She doesn't seem intelligent. She just doesn't, she's not very personable either. And it has nothing to do with, her struggles with, the language or the fact that she's not from here. It has nothing to do with that. She's just a fucking idiot. Some people are just that way. So it is what it is. The cousin does answer the question. He says that Josh's second baby mama is a mystery and that he stays out of his love life, as you should. Normal families are not just in each other's business like that. That's so strange. The cousin says to the confessional, we were all thinking, he says, it was inappropriate and that she is the first person he's interviewed who did not have a resume. And she just seems to expect the man to help her. And that's shameful and pathetic. So we then see after the interview, she's cooking dinner and we're like, why is she prepping for this big dinner in the apartment that Josh got for her? I'm wondering how she's paying for that. And she says that she is cooking dinner because Josh is having his friends come over and one of them is a movie producer. And so she's trying to basically kiss his ass and brown nose, hoping that she'll get put in the movie. You got to be able to act though, Natalie. You have to be able to act. I didn't understand why her mom was at this dinner party. I didn't understand why they couldn't just put her in the room to watch her shows or something. I didn't get it, but it is what it is. A little odd to have your mom at like a little couple's dinner party, but okay. So she thanks everybody from coming as soon as they sit down, and she immediately brings up the movie producer. And she explains that she wants to read him Shakespeare, and then she suddenly does it at the table. And when she reads him Shakespeare, she does it in Ukrainian. Honey, you're talking to an American movie producer. So they're not going to air the movie in your Ukrainian language. So you should probably learn to read those lines in English so that the English-speaking people of this country will understand what the fuck you are saying. Because we want to know what you're saying. And I'm like, you didn't say which Shakespeare play, what piece of writing. You didn't say anything. She gets all dark. She's like, okay. And looks up. I'm like, oh my God, girl, this is awkward. If you don't say a little line, to be or not to be, get to it. Shit. I didn't understand why she did that at the table, but she stops. He does offer her an audition for a horror movie, probably because she got all dark and was like having looked like an exorcist moment at first versus Shakespeare, which is like, there's some plays like Macbeth, which can be a little bit dark, but then there's also, the plays that are about love and yeah, even with Romeo and Juliet, there's some killing and shit that goes down in it, but it's not like dark throughout the whole thing. I've done Shakespeare plays like way back in the day. Way back in the day, very long time ago. So I'm just looking like, but that was smart. Get her a role in a horror movie. All she has to do is scream. I'm sure that she can do that. So that's all we get from Natalie. I guess that's why they called it Natalie's Big Break, because she got the opportunity to do that. I was looking at her with the side eye though, because I was like, okay, so you don't cook for the man who got you the apartment, bought you the car, and also is helping you with other things, right? Probably to rent some more shit. But you'll cook for this random movie producer that he invites over because you want to roll in a movie. Honey, you need to get a day job until you can, end up in a movie. So we'll see what happens with Natalie next week. The last person we're going to discuss on this episode will be Tyray. Do me a favor if you have not already, like the video. I appreciate you. Leave a comment if you don't like the video or feedback. If you really like what we're doing, subscribe. Even if you don't know what we're doing, subscribe for a week. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. I'm not holding you, So Tyray, he is our big teddy bear on the show. He's also our 30-something-year-old virgin. He has not kissed a girl. He has never been on a date. He has zero experience, like none. I really like Tyray. He's really, really sweet. I was in one of his Instagram lives earlier in the week, and he was actually he communicates with people who like him, his fans. He just really does seem like a mellow, sweet guy. So shout out to you, Tyray. It's been a few weeks since we last saw him. It's also been a few weeks that he's been stood up on his date by Tiffany. Raggedy bitch. I don't know why. I hate people who ghost people, stand people up, and that shit trends. Like, I'm not single, I like my husband and his penis, but I will say, like, if I was single and that ghosting stuff was happening, oh no, I just choose to stay alone. It'd be me and the cat, because I don't have time to go through that with people. I wouldn't have time. That's awful and psychologically traumatic, just as a side note. But he's handling it well. His brothers suggested a boys' trip, so they're going to New Orleans. And I love the way his family and friends, like, really surround him. And instead of, like, talking shit constantly, they're actually trying to help him get some ass. Like, that's love. That's love. One of the brothers, too, I think I know, because they're not too far from where I'm at in the Bay Area. And one of them on that damn screen looks so familiar. I was like, I feel like I know him. I feel like one of my friends dated him, but that's a whole another thing. Some of my friends are hoes, but I love them anyway. So they suggest the boys' trip, and he's talking about the boys' trip, and the point of it is to get him comfortable talking to women and things. And this is how you really know Tyray, like, is a virgin and has no experience with women. They asked him about his first kiss, because he's trying to get that done. They're like, what do you think it'll be like? He was like, I'm hoping it's like the Little Mermaid, where they're in the boat. And I was like, what? And he gave like the wrong reference. But for those who don't know, in the Little Mermaid, the original and the remake, the song Kiss the Girl, you wanna kiss the girl, shana la 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 my oh my. Anywho, I love Disney, y'all. But that song and that scene, he says that's what he imagines his first kiss to be like. Yeah, nigga, if you a kid, if you younger, as a 30-something-year-old adult, you better kiss that girl. Like, you better grab that bitch by her shirt and kiss her. I don't like do something. Well, don't grab her. I don't want to get nobody in trouble. But y'all know what I'm trying to say. Like, as kids, you could kind of deal with the shyness, like we saw in The Little Mermaid, because it's like, you're kids, you've never done this before. But there's not a lot of people he's going to meet in terms of women that at his age that are inexperienced. There are 18-year-olds more experienced than him. So no, don't say that. We love Tyray. Oh my gosh. No, Mr. Also Tender. That is so not tender. Please do not say that. He's calling him a lame. I know some. Now, Mr. Also Tender, listen. He's from the hood and his mind is permanently impacted by Oakland, y'all. So he hears 30, virgin, what? Lame. But, Mr. Oso Tenda was also having adult relations with women past 30 when he was only like 16. So, he needs therapy. So that's why he's going to call Tyree a lame. That's why. He's not a lame. He's a good man. He just needs to find he needs to find a good woman who's patient and who, because I'm thinking like I wouldn't date a virgin at my age. You got to know how to. If you under 18, you shouldn't be watching this video anyway. But you got to know how to like stroke right, have some experience, last for at least a certain number of minutes. So I don't know. But Tyree, he's a sweetheart, not a lame. He's just waiting on the right lady. Anywho, while he's talking about the Little Mermaid and all of these things, his brother asked him, well, what's your type? What kind of woman you like? Like they're really trying to get to the bottom of things and get him what he wants. This, bless his heart. He said, all. He said, what you mean all? He said, my type. I like all women. I said, no, you don't, Tyree. Tyree, baby, you do not like all women. You don't. You don't. I don't like all women, and I'm a woman. You don't like all women. No. Oh my God. These comments, Mr. Oso Tenda, that's not nice. Go to bed. 40-year-old version. He is not 40. He's 33. Mr. Oso Tenda, you're a hater. You're a hater. And you have to be a hater. Tyree is too sweet. Really is a lovable teddy bear. He just is so sweet. Why are you going to bring up his sexual status, though? Virgin, not hashtag. Now people are going to be hashtagging that movie on YouTube and coming to this fucking... See, Mr. Oso Tenda's a mess. He is a hot mess, y'all. He really is. If you want to see his opinions in real time, he will be live with me tomorrow, actually. He will. And I am considering starting a little panel for just to talk about relationships and shit. We're married. We'll get some people who's just in relationships, some single people, all of that. But I will announce that later. Anywho, he said, ain't no way. Some people are virgins. I mean, some people choose to wait. Like for some people, it just takes longer, not he's coming up to that age. He's got 7 years. Leave him alone. He said, I'm going to keep my foot on his neck till he gets some. Oh God, the men be so much harder on Tyree than women. I could tell they're like, we got to get this done. His brothers. Anywho, I'm laughing at Mr. Oso Tenda. I cannot do this. So Tyree says he needs an aggressive woman who is a freak, but he can't. I know that that's what he wants because I feel like the therapist to me is like, okay, I think he wants this because that means he don't have to do the work. He could just follow suit and learn, But at the same time, if you want an aggressive woman who's a freak, she's going to need you to know what you're doing in the bedroom and to last. And he does not know yet. So we will see. I don't even think he knows his freak level, what he likes, what he is, none of that. But we will see. So they are in New Orleans, and they go out for Hurricane, which is a famous drink in New Orleans. And they push him to go and talk to a lady at another table because he sees this lady. He likes her. He's calling her a goddess and all these things. And I'm like, oh, Lord. He's one of those. You don't have to tell every woman you're interested in talking to that she's just fucking beautiful. You can't tell us all that. You don't have to. Mr. Oso Tenda, shouldn't you be driving a vehicle or something? He's at work, y'all. For those wondering, this is my spouse who has commented like this. I cannot. You don't got to pray for him. A mess. It's not the worst thing to not have sex. Some people choose to be abstinent and all that stuff. It's not, it's not the worst thing. Anyhow, he saw this lady who's in shape. This cute little white lady sitting at the table, group of girls, and they talked to him. They were super kind. He said that she was a fitness model. She was so beautiful. And he said, that's where I started to my heart kind of hurt Because he's like, I don't know, she'll talk to me. She looks like a fitness model. I don't want her to think I'm just this lazy fat guy. I'm like, oh, honey, you got to be confident. Like, sometimes people be like, how do the ugliest niggas pull what some would call the baddest bitches? Confidence. That is it. They could be nervous as hell. Don't let a girl see it. You might get somebody or something. Anywho, they're talking and he's concerned that she'll think he's lazy and fat, but he goes over and these women were extremely nice to him. He does tell them he was in a 4-year relationship with a man and she was extremely confused. His verbiage and his words were like too much. Like, what did his brother say? You're like giving vomit of what's going on with you. Like, relax and just get to know her and ease into that. But I can understand it. It's fresh, it's new, but when you're talking to someone new, you don't want to constantly bring up somebody old. Like, you don't want to do that. Anyhow, he should have said I was catfished if he did bring it up. You didn't have to say I was in a 4-year relationship with a man, because then they gonna think you like men. You should say I was catfished in my last relationship, so it was not what I thought. That's all you have to say, Tyree. Don't mention that it was with a man or any of that. So they go off alone, him and the girl that he's interested in, and they have a talk at another table, just the two of them, and it goes well. She's freshly divorced as well, looking for something new. She says he's a huge teddy bear. She reads good energy from him, and she would definitely be willing to hang out again. He gets her number. She was really sweet. I liked how kind she was. Some girls will sense a nigga's nervous and be like, difficult. And then some girls will sense somebody is nervous and, like, still like give them a chance, if that makes sense. Like, I was like that when I dated. I don't know. I feel like if someone's nervous, that means that something about you they feel is so valuable, they don't want to fuck it up. So don't be mean. But the lady was nice. He gets his number and we'll see if they hang out on the next episode. So I am sitting here like, okay, Tyree, each time we see him interact with women, though, it gets better and better. And I have to say, I give him the utmost respect for speaking out on his journey, being a virgin at a big grown age, and speaking of all of the things that make him nervous, that he has reservations about, his feelings and stuff. He's not letting, Tiffany stand to him up, stop him, or the man who catfished him stop him. Like, you got to find love some way. He just don't want to be alone. Everybody wants love and companionship, so I'm not mad at him for that. Anywho, that is all that happened on this week's episode of 90 Day the Single Life. This was episode 5 of season 4. It was titled Natalie's Big Break. I will be back again in a few days to go over the next episode of 90 Day the Single Life, which should be airing tomorrow on Monday. For those who are wondering, we are going to continue recapping the show weekly. I know that 90 Day Fiance comes back on TV on the 18th. I may recap it. I want to keep doing more recaps, but my job has been working me like a slave, which is why I'm here now, late night in a robe, looking like a hot mess, the Hot Mess Express, the leader of it. But, it is what it is. Take me as I am, YouTube. Shit. But I will be figuring out scheduling. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate everybody for watching my channel. I hope you all have the best night, the best day. If you're watching the live recap, thank you for being here. Adios, y'all. Have a good night or day.